Hello everyone. In this video, we will look at formatting your spreadsheet for clarity. And the first thing we want to look at is to minimize the ribbon. Now, what is the ribbon first and foremost? The ribbon is what you see over here as the mouse hovers across that point. So from that point down here is the ribbon. And what does it do? The ribbon brings to forefront the commands that you would normally use in any of your applications, be it Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Access, and Excel, as you can see here. Now, there are certain times that you might be working on your spreadsheet or any of those applications and you want to minimize your ribbon. Now, how do you do that? Or why would you want to minimize the ribbon? Now, minimizing the ribbon can make the interface appear less busy and more focused on the task at hand. As you can see, there are tasks here at hand. Now, the other reason would be that when the ribbon is minimized, it frees up more space on the screen for the document that you're working on. Let's minimize the ribbon. I'll be showing you two ways to minimize the ribbon. Now, the first one is you can go on any of the tabs and double click on it. Now, let's look at the home tab. So I'll double click on the home tab. Now you will see that the ribbon is gone. When I double click on that home tab, it shows again. Now, if I go to the page layout tab, double click on it, you see, that minimizes the ribbon. If I double click again, it maximizes the ribbon. So I could do that for review tab, double click. Okay, minimizes the ribbon, double click again, the ribbon is out. So these are different ways that you can minimize or maximize the ribbon, and it applies to every other applications in Microsoft, such as Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Access. Okay, now the other way to minimize the ribbon would be hover your mouse to this point where you see the more arrow, click on that. Now come over here, choose show tabs only. If I click on that, you will see that it's only the menu tabs that are showing. Okay, now if you come down here to click, you will not be able to maximize your ribbon. Then the best way to go is you just come over here and double click, for instance, the home tab. Then we have our ribbon showing again. The next thing I like to show you is to zoom in and out of your spreadsheet. So you come down here on the status bar, go towards this angle, you will see the zoom level. Now towards the left hand side, this is the zoom out. So if I click on that, it zooms the spreadsheet out. Now towards the right hand side, if I click on that, it zooms in the spreadsheet. Okay, now that you have seen how to zoom in and out of your spreadsheet, why do you do that? Zooming in provides a closer look at specific details. So if we go back to the status bar, this is our zoom level, this is our zoom in. Okay, you can see it provides a closer look at specific details, while zooming out allows for a broader overview of the spreadsheet. So this is to zoom out. You can see it gives you a broader overview of the worksheet. You can see now I can see the entire data in the spreadsheet. So this is one of the reasons why you would want to zoom in or out of any of these applications. The next thing I like to show you is views of a spreadsheet. So Excel provides three primary worksheet views. One, the normal view. Number two, the page layout view. And number three, the page break preview. Now, these views allow users to customize how they view and interact with their spreadsheets, especially when preparing documents for printing. Let me show you those three views of Excel. Now, the first view that you see here is the normal view. And how do you find it? From the status bar, you go here. This is your normal view. You can see that it's active. Now, that is your normal view. Now, if I click on the next view there, you can see it's written there, page layout view. So I click on that, scroll to that point. This is your page layout view. Now, from the page layout view, you can customize your header and footer, like I did show you in previous video. Now, for your header and footer, this is your header. Now, you click here, go to footer, and it takes you to the footer section. Now, that tab is header and footer tab. Now, from the header and footer elements, you can insert whatever elements that you want to be in the footer or the header. Now, to navigate, you can come back to the navigation pane and click the button, go to header. That's how you navigate from header and footer. This is what the page layout view provides for you. The next view is the page break preview. So if I click on the page break preview, now the page break preview gives you this preview of your spreadsheet. Now it tells you that on this spreadsheet we have this number of pages. You can see page 1, page 2. Now if I go back to my normal view, now go to my zoom level, zoom in. All right, scroll a bit upwards and click on the page break preview. All right, so it still gives us that view. Now you understand the 3 views of spreadsheets in Excel. The next thing I like to show you is freezing panes in Excel. Now, what is freezing panes in Excel? So freezing panes in Excel allows you to keep specific rows and columns visible while scrolling through the rest of the worksheet. As you can see now, the spreadsheet, when I scroll through, the column headings aren't visible, which is my row 1. Okay, if I keep scrolling down, it's not visible. Now, if I scroll upwards, my row 1 is the column headings. Okay, so I want to keep this row visible while I scroll downwards. Okay, now that is called freeze pane. Okay, so Excel allows you to do that for your columns and for your rows. Freezing panes is useful for large spreadsheets where you want to keep the header row visible and the columns visible, or the columns visible for reference. Okay, now if I keep scrolling this, I want to make reference for names, so I'm not sure which column is names. So I'm going to show you how to freeze panes. What do? I want to freeze the top row here, which is the row 1, so that the column headings are visible as I walk through my spreadsheet. What I do is I'll click on A2. Now hover my mouse to where I see the View tab. Click on the View tab, go to the Windows group. You would see Freeze Pane. Click the More arrow. There are different options here. Remember, we want to freeze top row, so I'll click on the top row. So now when I scroll downwards, you'll see that the top row is visible and I can easily work on the rest of the spreadsheets. If I scroll to the right hand side, the first column is invisible. Let's say I want to see both the top row and the first column. How do I format that? Now I'm going to go backwards. In this case, I'm going to click in cell B2, go to View tab, Windows group, click the More arrow of Freeze Paint, unfreeze panes. Okay, so we can unfreeze the top row. Now go back to my View tab, Windows group, click the More arrow of Freeze Paint. Now in this case, I'm going to choose this one, Freeze Paint. So this keeps the row and column visible while I scroll through the spreadsheet. So I'm going to choose the Freeze Paint. All right. Now I'm going to scroll downwards. You can see that the column is visible. That is the row 1. Now I'm going to scroll towards the right hand side here, and our first column is visible, which is column A. All right, now your formatting depends on what exactly you want to see. Now let's assume I want to see column A, B, and C while I scroll. And I also, for instance, want to see row 1 to row 10 while I scroll. So that is also possible for you to format in Excel. So what do? I would have to come to this point where I have row 11 and click at this point D11. Now, why did I choose the 11? Because I want to see column A, B, C visible while I scroll to the right hand side, and I also want row 1 to 10 visible. So I chose D11. Now what do? Go back to my View tab, go to the Window group, click the More arrow of Freeze Panes, but I would have to unfreeze the panes, the one I did before. So go back to View tab, Window group, click the More arrow of Freeze Panes and choose Freeze Panes. Now I'm going to scroll downwards. Can you now see row 1 to row 10 is frozen while I scroll downwards. You can see that. So I can count from row 1 to row 10, and then the next row I see is row 19. Remember, we froze column A to C, so I'm going to scroll to this side and see. Can you see now? Column A to C is frozen. So if I count column A, B, C, the next column I see is column I, J, and so forth. This is useful for large spreadsheets where you want to keep header rows and columns visible for references. I hope this helps. Let's unfreeze the paint. You go back to your View tab, Windows group, click the more arrow and click Unfreeze Paints. Now, if you just want to freeze the first column here, then you should click A1. Now go to the View tab, Window group, click the more arrow of Freeze Paints, and then you go to this point where you see Freeze First Column. Now, if I scroll to the right-hand side, you'll see that the first column is frozen. The next thing we would look at is to add username to this spreadsheet. All right, to do that, you go to the File tab, click on it. Now hover your mouse to this point where you see Information icon, click on it. Now go to the right hand side where you see Properties. Click on the more arrow of Properties. Advanced Properties, click on it. Now this dialog box comes out. Now the tab Summary is active. This place allows you to add user information. The title here, we did say initially, title of this video is what? Formatting for clarity. So we can type in formatting. Okay, for instance, this is how you populate this form. Now subject, you can call the subject anything or you can skip it. Now the author here, remember we say we add in username. So the author here is only showing user. This is where you can put your name as the author of this particular spreadsheet. Okay, now if you do have a manager or where you work, you or your lecturer, you can put the name of that person there. You can put the name of the company. Now the categories you can think of, perhaps the topics we have treated in this video could be the categories. The same thing goes with the keywords, can be the topics that we have treated in this video. So it all depends on what you want. And comment, if you want to put a comment, you can do that. Now that is how to add username or the author of a particular document. This also applies for Microsoft application access. When you finish adding all those information, you click on OK. The next thing you would see is to save your file. To save your file, you need to know the exact place you want to save your file. This is very important. Now, to save your file, you need to go to the File tab, click on it. Go to Save As, click on Save As. Scroll down and you would see Browse. Click on Browse. Now, the dialog box comes out. Put the name of the file here. Now, in the navigation pane here of the Save As dialog box, you need to scroll down to find the exact place you want to save your file. Now, this is you being in control of where you save your file. Now, if you want to save your file in Documents folder, you click on it. Depending on the type of file you want to save. You want to save a picture file, you click on that. Music file, you click on that and save it. Now I do want to save this particular file. You can see it's already on desktop, saved on desktop. Let's say I want to give it a different name. I can call this Applets 1, which is a different name, right? I can now come over here and choose desktop, then click save. Now this is important if you want to save your file. And this brings us to the end of this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.